Welcome to QC Conversations, where we have good conversations with local people in the Charlotte, North Carolina, and surrounding area. We thank you for listening to our podcast. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us down in the comments who you would like to see on the episode in the future. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the episode. Wednesday I leave for South Carolina, go hog hunting, and I do that until Friday night. Friday night I'll come back, double check all my packing, and then I leave for Chicago on that Saturday morning at like 9:30.
Where are you hog hunting? Just like leased land? Somebody you know?
WMA land in South Carolina. So the place we go to mainly is called Woodbury.
Okay.
It's 1,500 acres of South Carolina hunting land. You got to pay I think it's like $70 a year to use the land, but it's so nice.
We have about 2,800 acres in Blacksburg, South Carolina, in Cherokee County.
Oh, very cool.
Right outside of Gaffney.
Mm-hmm.
Small little itty bitty town called Blacksburg, which Pressly's getting ready to develop Blacksburg.
Let's go.
But anyways, yeah, my husband hog hunts in Blacksburg. So that's why I was saying that. I'm like, South Carolina hog hunting land.
Hey.
He hunts everything.
Is it popular for hog hunting, South Carolina? Or is it?
So South Carolina, I think, is the best public land versus North Carolina. I don't think there's a lot of public land here,
Yeah,
and if there is, it's just overcrowded.
So that's public land. It's not, you don't have a specific hunting lease there. You just pay and then you're able to go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's neat.
Through South Carolina. Yeah, it's like $70, and then if you're an out-of-state resident, you have to pay for how many days you're going to hunt. So typically it's a week-long trip. So there's a group of about 8 to 10 guys. We go down there and just camp it out.
They have lodging,
hunt.
or you just camp?
No, we just camp it.
Okay.
We're stick camping, which last year one of the guys got a trailer, and so 3 of the guys were in a little camper trailer, and I'm like, what the heck? Why are we still tent camping? I told my buddy, I was like, I make too much fucking money to tent camp. I'm like, I'm tired of this. Can we upgrade our situation? And I put it off all year because I was looking for a camper, and then I stopped looking for a camper.
But you can rent them.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I think typically $90 to $100 a day, roughly.
It's not bad. Not if there's a couple of you.
Pretty good.
You can split it.
Exactly. Split it up. It's not
So,
at all.
of course, I waited last minute, did not book anything. So, I'm going to be tent camping for 2 nights. Yeah, 2 nights. So, it'll be fun.
So for the guy who doesn't hunt much, you have to get a tag for hogs?
So it's not a tag like deer. So
Gotcha.
Deer, they only release so many tags because they don't want you to extinct deer.
Right.
Or shoot too many.
Right.
So
They want you to extinct hogs, right?
Yes.
And they're bad for crops
Yes.
and stuff, right? Yeah.
They're very invasive.
And they're very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're very dangerous. I mean, we have several hogs on our farm, so we have a lodge out there, and we have a hunting lease. So there's guys that come on there and hunt. And that's what I was asking you, kind of how that worked. But we obviously have cameras all over the place on the land, and there's several hogs down there. And so, anyways, I know my husband's probably going to be killing them, but especially now that he's not employed, he's looking for
that's
He's gonna be looking for something to do, right?
He's like, all right, maybe I can. I mean, he hunts all the time, but yes, they're so dangerous. It makes me so nervous being down there. We have birthday parties, and down at our lodge, we have our family Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner in between the two, and birthday parties, and because it's a great area. So I think within the next 5 years, I'm gonna develop a wedding venue down there.
Oh, fun! That's great.
So we've got a 6-acre pond. It's beautiful. It's very nice. It would just be a perfect spot. It's just convincing people to come to Blacksburg. Right now, it's not very desirable, but I think if you have something that people will travel to, then they'll do it. People will drive 30, 45 minutes to get married.
Yeah, it's like your wedding. It was in Winston-Salem.
Yeah, we did ours in Winston-Salem, so it was a little bit of a trip.
Yep.
And it was at
Windmock.
Yeah. It was a big barn, 2 levels. It was huge.
Yeah, but no, people will drive. That's one thing I've noticed about weddings. People will spend money, people will drive.
It's so profitable.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just unbelievable. And, I think, the initial investment you can have paid off in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
then
That's
it's
crazy.
straight cash flow from there. and you own the land free and clear, and you rent it, I think 12-hour period. So you have a Friday, option to rent it just Friday, then option to rent it just Saturday, then just Sunday. And so Friday, it's like $5,500 to $6,500. Tell me if this is close. When did you get married and how long ago?
Oh, goodness. That was, I better get this right, 2.5 years ago.
Okay. Well, for me, it's been 6 years. So the prices have changed a little bit. But, people pay $8,000 to $10,000 for a Saturday night wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Just for the venue itself. Mm-hmm. That's not inclusive of anything else.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
So you've got, $5,000 to $6,000 on Friday, $7,000 to $9,000 say on average Saturday, depending on what you offer, and then Sunday same thing. $5,500 to $6,500. People get married on a Friday night to save $2,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or a Sunday night.
Or
they'll do it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's a lot of ways to make money in that.
I see that, and you sure have accomplished a lot of them.
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't ask you before when we were talking. How did you get into real estate? Or what were you doing before real estate?
I was a public school teacher for 4 years. So, I probably would have never left my career of public school teaching. August of 2020, I was pregnant, 35 weeks pregnant with my youngest daughter, who is now 3. And the year before that, I had my son, Gatlin, and he was stillborn at around 7 months. And so I was very high risk during my last pregnancy. So my doctor was like, Pressly, you can't teach. You can't be in the classroom. This was the very beginning of COVID, August 2020.
Yep.
So we remember those days. We weren't allowed to sit in a room like this and conversate. So I left the classroom and I took, I had a newborn, so took 6 months off. Went and got my real estate license. It's always something I loved doing. And, as we've kind of briefly discussed, I always saw my dad investing in real estate, but not flipping real estate, not selling real estate. He's at a position where he's buying and holding, or starting businesses and things like that, but nothing residential. So I kind of saw, dad buy things in foreclosure and, turn them into businesses. We've done climate controlled storage facilities. We've done restaurants, very diversified in that. And so I was very inspired by just wanting to know more. Even, I remember telling my dad, it's funny now, but it wasn't then, I remember telling him, Dad, I just want to flip one house a year and I can make my teacher salary and that's all I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I don't need to do anything else. I was comfortable, living on that salary. And I know it's funny, it's laughable, but, I was comfortable and my husband worked and, we were fine with making $115,000 a year together. And that was kind of, the extent of it. And so I said, I'll just flip one house a year. That's all I need to do. And, I joined my brokerage in Belmont, Premier South. And the only reason I joined, I didn't really do any research about where to join. I was so uneducated going into it, but they didn't have a commission split. Oh, cool. And so I said, oh, this is great. Like, I'm going to bring my own business in here and, I won't have a split because I'm just going to flip one house a year. I don't want a brokerage taking 50% of that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I joined Premier South and that's obviously not what happened. So I hung my license in August of 2021. I don't know at the time how many agents were at Premier South, but now there's about 300.
Oh, wow.
Within the first, I don't know, I don't want to say, because within the first 2 or 3 months, I became their top producing agent, and I've maintained that for 2.5 years.
That is super impressive.
So, no true rhyme or reason, and if someone asks, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I feel very blessed that, it happened this way. I've never done any type of lead generation, and I'm just me, and I've, had connections through my life and grown up in Gaston County, and so it's just been a blessing. It's been wild.
So, you went from wanting to flip one house a year mm-hmm. into just, boom, top producer. Mm-hmm. How did that look in the beginning stages? You got your real estate license. I'm sure you posted on social media, yes. Like, hey, guys, I'm in real estate.
Right.
Like, let me help you buy, sell, and invest.
Right.
So what did those next steps look like for your business of just rapid growth?
Well, I think, ultimately, and I tell everybody this, like social media, we know is the number one tool in our business. And we have seen that, through and through. I think for me, it's just been, especially in the beginning, and, I even told you guys, like, I'm not as good as I need to be. I know that, I could probably at this point hire a social media manager to help me kind of oversee some of that. But really just being present every single day and showing up on my social media every single day. And then from there, it just happened. People started reaching out to me, and I think at my age, I'm 29. And so a lot of like my friends were first time home buyers. They were getting into this place in their life where they were getting married. I did things like opposite. Now I have an almost 10-year-old, but my friends were getting married, having babies and things of that nature. And so, they were starting to buy houses. So they were reaching out to me and, it just really making sure every single time I had a showing, every single time I was at any type of appointment, I was posting,
That's awesome.
and just staying present, and the business just, continuously grew. And so, at the end of 2021, goodness, we're in 2024.
Yeah.
At the end of 2022, I started the Pressly Ramey team. So I would say 2022 was my first year full time in my business, in real estate full time. So I think I closed 19 million my first year, and at that point, I knew, from the very beginning, I knew that investment real estate was where I wanted to be. So I thought, how do I put this into action? And so my first year, 2022, I feel like I just saved and saved and saved as much as I could, and got to a place where I was able to invest my own money, and start flipping, and started my team. And last year, I referred out 60% of my business to my girls, and then I took the investment world, by the reins and started flipping. I flipped 14 houses last year.
Holy smokes!
And it's been crazy.
So 14 last year. What's the goal this year?
Well, this year I want to double the amount of flips, but I really want to focus more on new construction. And so just learning, like I said, and it's just for us, and we know this, like, there is so many avenues in this business, and there's so many directions that you can go. And so figuring out, which direction do I want to go? And so for me, it's been, okay, transactional real estate has been phenomenal. It's been incredible. Investment real estate, I know I can flip a house. I know what it takes to get top dollar, for buying a house, painting it, new floor, new light fixtures, and put it on the market, within 30 days and turning it. And then new construction. So just my goal for this year, new construction, is to do 20.
Okay.
So that is why, talking about learning more about some different creative financing paths and things of that nature, so that I'm able to do that. Finding the lots is difficult, and we know that.
Yeah. Finding
lots that are buildable, good, decently level, functional lots in good locations is hard. So after you found that, and you've got a good general contractor that can build for a reasonable cost where there's a profit margin, those are your two hardest things. And once you've got those two things, then, the sky's the limit. And obviously, financing. So, three things.
Yeah.
Three things.
Three things.
And anyways, but so if I can do the new construction, then that will be my goal. I see myself getting my GC this year, and just focusing on developing real estate, and eventually probably leaving the transactional side. I know I've said that, and that's kind of the direction I see myself going, but it will be hard to leave. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think we all love, helping somebody sell their home and seeing the joy and being able to hold their hand and guide them through such a huge investment. And so That'll be hard. I feel like part of the school teacher in me is in those moments of like helping my clients and teaching them on how to invest their money, and and so leaving that will be very difficult. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I could see you someday being a mentor to somebody who, wants to do more investments and fix and flips and stuff. So I guess my question for you, there was a lot of great information there, by the way. My question for you is, when you got started with this fix and flip stuff, were you one to just kind of jump right into it? Or did you find yourself trying to do a lot of educational activity to learn how that process works? Or do you have a mentor? Or
I think I just jumped right in. Kind of very, very similar to my transactional real estate business. I was like, I'm going somewhere that doesn't offer training, really, substantially.
Right.
I'm not going to Keller Williams. I'm not going to an Allen Tate. I'm not going somewhere where they're going to put me, in these training courses, which I probably desperately needed at that time, for sure. I didn't have a mentor. I just jumped right in. Here I am closing 5 to 10 deals a month, and I have no clue what I'm doing, right? So I feel like I learn best that way, which is sometimes scary because especially when you're gambling with your own money. I have just been very, 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 very blessed. And I think starting out, I didn't invest in places I didn't know like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I knew Gaston County. I knew specifically Gastonia, specifically 28056, which is the zip code I live in. It's a great school district. It's desirable. People really want to be there. So my first couple, that I found were in that area. But, same thing with the flipping, it's so easy to talk to people about doing it. But same thing with the lots and the land and the builder and the private funding. If you can't find a house that, meets your criteria to flip, it doesn't matter how much private money you have. It doesn't matter how many GC contacts you have. You can't make money. So I have just been so fortunate that every single house that I've bought has come from social media.
Oh, that's really neat.
I take that back. I've bought one from a wholesaler, and one from an auction. Aside from that, every other property that I have bought has been somebody that has reached out to me. My grandmother passed away. We've got our house. We want to sell it. It needs to be completely, the way the condition that it was left in is not favorable. We need, we don't have the money to fix it. What do we do? And so as a real estate agent and also as an investor, then, I would always present it to my clients like this. I will list your house. I can have it on the market in 2 days. I'll list it for $250. We'll see what kind of offers we get and we'll go from there. Or I'll offer you cash on it. I'll offer you $200,000. I can have it in your hand in 14 days. I think you're going to walk away with very similar money by the time I list it for you at $250. You have to pay 6% commission. A buyer's going to come in here. Right now, we know they're probably going to ask for some closing costs. They're going to do a home inspection. They're going to want some repairs done. When I offer you $200,000 cash, I know exactly what I'm going to have to put into your home to get it to top dollar. I'm not going to come in and say, oh, I did a home inspection and, now I need the price down to $150 or I'm going to have to terminate.
Yeah.
Transparency, being transparent with your clients and kind of helping educate them and by saying like, I'd love the opportunity to buy it. I'm going to give you a cash offer. We can still go to the market. Let's see what kind of offers you get. My offer's on the table. My offer stands. If you decide to take it, that's great. If not, that's fine. 95% of the time they take the cash.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. It takes a lot of headache out of it.
Yeah.
They don't want showings. They don't want to deal with the, agony of having a home inspection and an appraisal and this and that. And, I explain it to them like, look, everything that you're going to have to do if we do list it, I'm going to have to do it too when I get finished with it. I have to pay a buyer's agent. I'm going to get a buyer that comes in here that I probably am paying some of their closing costs. They're going to do home inspections. They're going to request me to do X, Y, and Z. So we're going to be in similar situations, but I want to be able to help you, And, I always am very transparent. You may walk away with $10,000 more if you take it to the market. $15,000 more. if you want to go to the market, let's see what we get. And these are homes where, when you market it for sale, the carpet's dirty, they're halfway painted. They saw, oh, well, my cousin told me I needed to paint, so I started painting, but, I never finished. Mm-hmm. And so showing a house like that, these buyer's agents are going to come in here, they're going to say, oh, they really need to sell.
Yep.
So, I think that as long as it makes sense for me and I know my numbers are there, then giving my clients that option is it's a huge benefit to them. So like I said, majority, and it's a specific type of client, right? That they've just gone through a divorce. Someone's passed away in the family. They've inherited this real estate. It needs to be fixed, or maybe there's been a tenant in place. And so, but again, that has been the biggest, that's the hardest thing. I have people approach me every day that want to get started in this investment side of the business. And really and truly, it is so difficult. They're buying from wholesalers that are marking it up. There's no profit margin. Yeah. There's no margin there. And I'm like, look, you won't make money. Yeah. You'll be lucky to break even. You might can learn and get your money back out of it and break even, but you're not going to make money there. So it takes having all the pieces together. And then when you do, you can be very successful at it.
Yeah, that's cool. I was actually going to ask, how you're finding deals in this limited inventory market.
Right, yeah. Right.
That's really impressive that, you're kind of getting those deals through social media and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just out of curiosity, obviously social media is a powerful tool.
Right.
What platform did you see the best results on? Or would you post most on?
Well, I think I'm most present on, my stories, just Instagram and Facebook. Mm-hmm. And that is the only two. And I know if I took the time to learn TikTok that I could be I beat myself up over it because I know that I'm missing out on a huge market.
Yeah.
But Instagram and Facebook have been so profitable for me. I mean, $1 million a year cost me $0 to do it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of time and effort.
Just a little bit of time and effort.
Yep.
And stepping out of, this comfort zone of thinking people don't care what I post. And I think that's a mentality a lot of agents have. I've learned that through not mentoring, but, meeting. I guess it is considered mentoring, meeting with so many new agents, and they want to know how to get started. Even veteran agents. Here I come in to a Gaston County market. I'm 27 years old. And I have no background in real estate. And here I am, top 5 in Gaston County, my first year, as an agent. And I have these agents that have been doing business for 40 years saying, who are you and where did you come from?
Oh, yeah.
And what are you doing? I'm not getting their same business. Their business, they have clientele that, they've been in the business 40 years. It's repeat clientele for them. And so they want to know, what are you doing? And how are you making it work? So I think finding your target audience and people really, really love the flipping.
Oh,
they
yeah.
really, really love that. I mean, we see HGTV.
Yeah.
We see that these shows are very successful and that's what they're doing. And they're taking people through the process and before and during and after. And people love to see it. And then, those are I tell my agents, instead of door knocking, you're posting. And this is when you're starting these conversations. People are messaging you, where did you get that flooring?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where did you pick out that tile? Oh my gosh, we're fixing our bathroom. We're going to sell in 6 months. It's just a way in. And it is organic. This is stuff I'm doing. It's not me sitting here making, reels about, do you need a home inspection in North Carolina? Do you need a septic inspection? You do. These are things I'm doing. I'm gambling in the real estate market with my own money. And kind of walking my viewers, my audience through basically, for lack of better words, what to do, how to turn, a property into, a top dollar piece of real estate that you can sell quickly and make a profit. So people love to see it. They want to know about it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's how we pretty much started talking, was on social media.
That's right.
I was like, this girl's crushing it. And like, I just follow everything. I follow all your flips. And I'm like, yeah, this is fantastic. This is great. Not for me, because I don't have any taste, and I'd have to hire someone to make all the right choices, or else I just have like a pitch black house that's like, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
But no, and then like to your point about you're not doing anything extra. You're not like time blocking any extra time to create a reel or create, 10 social media posts. It's just you're out and about and you're documenting and just recording. And naturally with your following on social media, they're following along. And then so that way, if they do ever have someone or they want to buy, sell, or invest, they're reaching out to you because you are the most important, but also the most impactful to them because they see you almost every single day posting about real estate. And I tell new agents this all the time.
Yes.
It's not going to happen overnight.
No.
It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No.
Most people, it takes several months to really get a commission check.
Yes.
And typically it takes about 3 years to get like your referral repeat business up and going.
Right.
I think yours definitely skyrocketed a lot faster than the norm.
Right.
And it's so funny, and going back to earlier when you were like, you just joined a firm with no training.
Right.
And you're fucking crushing it. Like, if you told that to any other agent out there, they would not be in the same boat, right? So I think it's incredible more than anything, just to see what you've built in so quickly. And like going back to your point, like I think Gaston County is one of those, like, you got the same 5 to 6 agents that have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years.
That's right.
They got their billboards. You see their name. That's
all
their
Allen
area.
Tate.
Yep.
My competition in Galveston County is all Allen Tate agents.
And like you've come into the market, and I think this is one thing people don't understand too. Real estate, one person can't control the whole market.
No.
There are thousands of transactions that happen every year.
Right.
Should you find a niche, and this is interesting because for most people, I'm like, you shouldn't limit yourself, right, to one area. You need to branch out. I think back in the older days before MLS, and you had to go into an office to see what listings they had in a book. I think that was more impactful for like a specialized local person to where, we're seeing some of these like older veteran agents that they're doing good. They're still always going to have enough business to do good in real estate, but they're not great per se anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Per like ranking standards, I guess, if you want to compare yourself via rankings.
Right.
And it's really cool to see like how technology has like shifted from a school teacher making pennies on the dollar, right?
Yes.
Having to work so much and put so much time and effort and passion into something, and it's changing people's lives, but you're still able to change people's lives through real estate.
Yes.
And I think you have a true compassion for it too. It shows just how you talk about real estate. So that's awesome. It's awesome to see like how you started to how you got here so quickly and made so much fucking money so fast.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
No wonder you have newer agents and even seasoned agents wondering what's going on. It's like, what's the secret spice?
What is it?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to tell everybody.
Well, I mean, I just think, and I think it's so difficult to try to pinpoint, at what point, where did it happen and how did it happen? And I think, it's just, again, like, I mean, I remember seeing you post a couple months ago, a house you sold in Clover. Was it on Bethel Street? And I remember thinking, it's just, you were on market short days, couple days on market. Yep. Yeah.
2 days.
2 days on market.
Three offers.
Multiple offers received. And we know that in 2021, that was really easy to say. 2022, that was really easy to say. Oh my gosh. I mean, everything I had was going multiple offers, 50,000 over list price. Oh my gosh. We're so great. We're so good. And now it's difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, yeah, you'll still have your listings that do produce like that. Your high traffic areas, affordability, right? We know right now with interest rates, that's very difficult to come by. Location, there's a lot of factors there, but I just think, again, like that stuck out. I mean, that's something that I remember seeing you post on
That's
your
crazy.
story. I don't know how. I don't remember why that caught my attention, but I remember it. And I want to say the door was green. Or was it blue?
It was like a yellowish green.
It was a yellowish green. How do I remember that? But I do. And so those are things like as an agent or, or somebody that watches Joseph's stuff and vice versa, like, those are things that I see it shows you like that was so insignificant to me. It means nothing really, to me that you did that transaction. But, it's like just seeing it and seeing you present and seeing you posting that and remembering, like, if I was a client in that area thinking, well, Joseph just did this, I don't know much about him. I don't know much about his business, but I remember, like, I don't remember really. I mean, I have a little bit of ties in Clover, but nothing significant. Like McGill store in Clover, my maiden name is McGill. So like my family, John McGill, my family, the McGills were prominent in Clover, back in the day. But anywho, I remember seeing that, Joseph. I remember seeing that on your story. I remember it going active. I remember just seeing it. And so again, like, and that, I mean, there's literally no reason why I would have been looking for that transaction in particular. However, it's just something that I remember seeing, and so it just shows you, like, being present and showing up. It just takes having one person see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think consistency is key, right? Where you're talking about the stories and stuff, something I don't do very well, but that's all it takes, right? Is like that person in your audience might not need you today. It's about being consistent. They're going to see you on the day when they're thinking about buying or selling real estate. Yes.
It takes one conversation.
It's all it takes. And so that's cool. Well,
yeah.
Huge kudos to you for being consistent.
Yeah.
I think that's played a huge part.
I try.
And, to your point, it's funny you remember that. It's so comical. But, like, to your same point, it was the house you listed in Mount Holly. It was all blue, right off the main road.
I flipped it, Belmont Mount Holly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember when you first posted it, I'm like, man, that house looks familiar. Because I actually used to live off Cherry Street. That was where we had our first house in Belmont Mount Holly.
Okay.
And so I was like, man, that house looks familiar. And then one day as I was driving along, after you had it listed, I saw your sign. I'm like, holy shit, there it is. I knew that house.
So we stay connected, and it is so neat, even agent to agent. But, we know, and it's such an important thing. And like you said, talking to new agents and anybody that wants to be in this industry but wants to be successful, it's difficult. And I think there's a part of me that I know I don't relate. I can't sit down with a new agent that hasn't had any transactions in a year and they can't figure out why, I think you have to do what it takes and you have to hustle and you have to do it every single day.
Yeah.
I tell my agents, I said, I don't care if you're at Lowe's. I don't care if you're at the grocery store. When you leave, I want you to go by Lowe's and I want you to take a picture. I want you to take a video in the aisle like you're picking out tile or you're picking out paint. I don't care if you're faking it.
Yeah.
You do it and you post it every single day. There's no reason. And I'm definitely, I go through periods, I know we all do, where I'm like, I'm exhausted from feeling like I have to do this. Now granted, when I have so many projects going on, it's easy. It's easy. I'm popping by. They're laying floor. They're hanging cabinets. There's installing countertops. And, I'm getting a ton of interest, which I get myself in a lot of trouble because I'm advertising things that aren't for sale. Not good. Presley's always in trouble. Every time I call my back, she's like, oh my God, Presley, because I'm not, here's my thing. I'm not doing things a traditional real estate agent is doing. I'm just not. I'm walking this very fine line, and it depends on who you talk to. Is it ethical? Am I representing my client's best interest? Technically, when I'm buying real estate off market, these are unrepresented sellers. Mm-hmm. So they call me to list their house, and I give them the option. I would love to list your house.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm going to list it for. And here, this is my marketing plan. I think we can get it under contract quickly. Or I'd love the opportunity to buy it.
Yeah.
I'm not representing you. I'm not giving you any real estate advice. I'd love to buy it. Here's what I think I can buy it for. And I even laid out, here's what I think I'm going to have to do to it. And this is what I think I can sell it for. And you are going to walk away with a little bit more money if you go through, go on the market it may take 60 to 90 days to get that money. We've got to get it under contract. We've got to wait a 30-day closing period. Well, give or take, a buyer may be contingent. I mean, we don't know, right? And so, like I said, it's just putting all those pieces together, but also seeing the advantage that real estate agents have. Like, I wish more agents understood how much advantage they have when it comes to investing in real estate. We have such an advantage. Not only do we have access to the MLS, but, if you're doing your work and you're learning, Joseph, you probably know the area you live like the back of your hand. Anybody in your neighborhood could pick up the phone and call you and say, I need to sell my house.
Yeah.
I live 3 doors down from you. And off the top of your head, you're saying, all right, I think we could list somewhere between 550 and 570. Let me come meet you. Let me walk, let's walk it and then let's talk. Yep. We know, your area, and so I think starting out, staying in those areas, don't go anywhere you're not comfortable. Like, I still have not invested in Charlotte. Have not done it. I'm getting ready to. I've walked many of my investor clients. I have clients all the way in LA. I have clients between North Carolina and LA.
Oh, wow.
Investors that call me. I'm going to have to change the dynamic of that because it does take a lot of my time and energy basically running flips for out of town investor clients. Did walk a client of mine through a Charlotte flip, and we net like $170,000. I've not done it. I'm just not. I don't know the neighborhoods. I'm not as confident. Sure, we know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Myers Park. I went to college. I finished my degree at Queen's University, so I know that area. South Park, Myers Park area, very good, very well. We know that's very high end. But if you asked me a question about, I couldn't tell you, and I wouldn't want to advise you because I would feel, like I wasn't doing my job. So I think staying in the areas where you're comfortable, and showing up and staying consistent and being organic and not feeling like. Especially in your industry, and that's hard. Yeah. I think that's very, very difficult because, how do you get business, or how do you, keep business and without, blowing up everybody's phone, asking them to get coffee every couple of days.
Yeah, ask them to get coffee.
Hey, consistency is key, right? We talked about. No, yeah. It honestly, for me, like in that role, I just try to be a genuine person, right?
Yes,
I don't want to be that person like asking for your business every single day. I do think there's a little bit of place to consistency.
Sure, right.
In asking, but like to me that bugs me and irks me. I don't like when people do it to me.
Me neither. Yes.
And so for me, it's just being authentic, right? And if we connect in relationships, like some of my most valuable relationships, people like Joseph, we've turned into great friends.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the key, at least in my industry. Yeah.
It is.
And circling back on 2 points. So one being, you were talking about like walking that fine line. And even when you first mentioned like you give your clients that option, it's not necessarily new because Open Door and OfferPad do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're getting away with it.
Absolutely.
And they're getting away with it on a way worse scale and taking advantage of people more so than like being a real person and being like, look, these are your options.
Right.
You'll probably make more money this way, but it's going to be more of a headache.
And it's going to take you more time.
Yeah.
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 I can't tell you how many times I've met with clients, and even when I was at Orchard, my team did over $100 million in 2022. And one of Orchard's big things was we had a guaranteed offer just in case your house didn't sell in 120 days.
That's right.
And
that's a major incentive.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of people are like, can I just take the offer and like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want you to call me.
Yes.
I don't want you. And you're thinking to yourself, dude, it's extra like $20,000. What are you talking about? You don't want that? But, then you have agents who are jealous and, they file complaints and all that fun stuff. So that's actually genuinely crazy.
Yes.
You've had that issue, but I could see.
You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it. And and they want to know, right. Yeah, I guess it is a jealousy thing. I've struggled with that in this business, just trying to figure out where that stems from, but I guess it is. I'm sure it's understandable. I am not that way. Like, I am everybody's biggest cheerleader. I mean, I want to sit down with everybody and coach them and show them, how to do what I'm doing. I think, there's room for everybody. It takes ultimately I can tell you all day long.
Yeah.
But if you don't have what it takes to get it in gear, you're not going to be successful doing it.
No.
That's where I think people go wrong, right?
Yeah.
There's so much coaching out there, so much education that's right at the tips of your fingers,
Right.
you know, with YouTube and social
Right.
media and stuff.
Right.
But it's like if you don't take action, right? What's all that worth? Like it's great, it's right there, but you have to take action.
We can go to the conferences.
Yeah.
We can do the things.
Correct.
We can, but ultimately, if you are not putting in the work every single day, I mean, for me, and then it's just one of those things. I think finding the balance of what are your goals in your business, right? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? I think that's something I ask myself all the time. And I'm 29, I think, and that's wild to say that, really. But I think by the time I'm 35, my life will look a lot different.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it will. But again, back to your point, I just think it's just crazy how much other agents don't like to see other agents winning and doing something that they're not doing. And there's opportunity for everybody. And it's not the easiest thing. It's not getting out of your comfort zone, borrowing hard money, getting in where something that's maybe not so favorable, but it's your first time and you don't know any better until you try it. And there is room to lose, and there's room to lose big, and I know that happens to people, and they get burned and they don't want to try again. But I think, for me, one of my first houses I ever bought was from a wholesaler. I told you that I bought one, okay? And I still own that house. So let's just put it that way. I bought that house in 2022. February of 2022. So the great news is that as of February of 2024, I won't owe capital gains tax.
That's right.
But there won't be any gain there. So, anyways, all of that to say, and I have been very, very, very blessed, having people in my corner that have believed in me. And, my dad bought that house. That's the only house he's ever bought as far as investment side for me. And he bought it in one of our partnerships, and I just wanted to be in Belmont. I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. I just wanted to be in Belmont. That's all I knew, that market. I knew that's where I wanted to be. I knew that's where I had to be. I bought this house. I was bidding on it with, 50 other investors, and and Pressly's just driving the price up. I'm just driving it. I'm bidding. I'm so happy I'm going to get this house. And I'm still not done flipping it.
Wow. Holy smokes, 2 years later.
I was so scared to start it. It's really sad. I do laugh now so I don't cry. I've come to terms with the fact that when I'm getting ready to sell it, praise the Lord, and I know it'll be a major loss, and that's okay. That's part of it. It taught me very early on, that this was something I had to, take very seriously. I bought this house thinking it was on 1.9 acres in Belmont, North Belmont, actually right beside Cherry Street on West Henry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 507 West Henry Street. You look for it on the market in maybe a month. Hopefully. But I had to hire a GC. I thought initially when I bought it, I thought maybe I'll just tear it down. Maybe I'll build a road. Maybe it's 1.9 acres. Maybe I'll put 3 new construction back there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so waited on the city. City didn't want to approve that. Then I went into just trying to unload it to another wholesaler. And I found out very quickly that I had no clue, guys. I had no clue what a wholesaler was. Yeah. When I bought the house from a wholesaler, I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea where I was
I'm going to take my check and you do this.
I had no idea what was happening. And so when I sold it to a wholesaler, it's such a funny story. I was under contract to sell it to them. I was just going to try to get out from under it, lose $20,000. It was fine, right? it was not fun. But, I was trying to tell myself it'll be okay. It's not going to stop my business. It'll be okay.
Right.
They put me under contract, and then, notoriously 30 days later, it's time to close. And they come, day of closing, they call me and they say, "Oh my gosh, we just found X, Y, and Z in the basement, and we've got to bring it down $40,000. And it's the day of closing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? So anyways, I dragged my feet just trying to get out from under it. And then I had to hire a GC because it was, it needed to be permitted. I was taking it from a 2-bed to a 4 because I had an unfinished basement.
Okay.
So anywho, it'll be on the market soon. And it won't be profitable, but that's okay because, I've got 3 more a half a mile away that'll net me $100,000 a piece.
So
it's okay.
Real quick, on your wholesaler day of closing, did they actually have it under contract, or were they just trying to...
They didn't reassign it, no.
Okay.
But they told me they were going to buy it. But if they didn't reassign it, they were going to buy it.
Right.
Because they also buy real estate.
But, to your point, what happened, they're coming day of closing to see if...
They didn't have another buyer. They needed to get the cost down so they could... Maybe their margins weren't there.
Yep. And then they're just like, well, we can lose, $500,000, whatever the earnest money is.
Right.
Or we can try and grab it as steal and, actually be profitable here.
Right.
Because, and to your point, you didn't know what a wholesaler was or what they did. But, for the listeners, it's a wholesaler is going to, put a contract on your house. Mm-hmm. And then they will try and find another buyer to make... let's just say they have it under contract at $200,000.
Yep.
They have it listed for $230,000, $240,000. Maybe try and get out at $220,000, so that way they get a $20,000 payday at day of closing. They don't even touch money. They just get a check wrote to them at closing.
That's right. No money's involved.
Yeah.
Actually takes no money to wholesale.
Nope.
Yeah.
Money never leaves your bank account.
Just the earnest money if you got to send the check in.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
Because none of them pay due diligence. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. None of that.
I work with 3 investors. 2 are local, one's actually overseas. And so every time we get deals, and especially the last 3 years, it's been so difficult to find deals.
Wholesalers.
And it's like you find these and then it's like, oh, it's a wholesale. And I'm like, dude, stop wasting my time. We'll give you $1,000 just to GTFO.
Yeah.
And you run the numbers and they're like, oh, ARV's this, and you're like...
Where do you see that?
I just had one not even 2 months ago. She sent it to me. It's in Davidson. Mm-hmm. So Davidson, I think average price point's $750.
Sure, right.
And this house was $400.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, it'll be worth we're comping at $850, $900. And I'm running the numbers and I'm like, dude, I have this at $450, $425. Where are you getting these numbers? Oh, well, this is if you tear it down and build a duplex. And then I'm like, all right, let's run through this real quick.
Wow. You're going to have demo calls?
Yeah.
So basically, you're just valuing the land at $425 at that point, right?
Yep.
Because you got to tear it down and build a duplex?
And then you're going to build three twos.
Wait a second.
For $400,000.
Yeah, how is that ARV? That's a property that doesn't even exist.
They sent that, and I said, are you joking me? I was like, where did you learn how to, run numbers?
Right,
because clearly this is either your first day, or you're just, trying to get over on somebody that has no idea.
And they may.
And
yeah, it's a sad reality.
I never looked to see if that property closed, but, it was a teardown. There was no amount of money that could have went to fixing it. Bad foundation issues, and, the lot was like this.
So, I think this is one take from my experience also as an agent, and where I think we do have to be very careful how we navigate, as agents, investors, etc. There's a lot of messy stuff going on the MLS, from wholesalers assigning contracts, and there's agents like me who have no clue what's going on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They have no understanding until lender gets involved and says, "Wait a minute, they don't have the title for this house. This is not their name's not on this deed. They can't." I actually had an agent that works for me that didn't bring me in, obviously I'm not like hands-on from the very beginning of every one of their transactions. If they need me, they know to call me, etc. But, this wasn't something that they had just put an offer in on a house in Charlotte for a buyer, and it was a wholesaler that was selling it. And, my agent had no clue, and she had no idea how to advise her buyer. It was so difficult because I think that this is it's really a scary thing. It's only going to continue to get worse. You cannot get your hands on, in the investment side of my business. Like I've explained, I try to be very diversified. Like I'm buying at court, I'll go to foreclosure sales, tax foreclosure sales, auctions, obviously the property that gets brought to me through social media, but I feel like, I try to stay up and stay current with, like tax foreclosure sales and buying land and lots and houses and things like that, going and bidding, different counties that I'm familiar with. But, now those lists are dwindling and dwindling and dwindling because wholesalers are getting in touch with these homeowners before we even have the opportunity. I mean, a regular, investor would have the opportunity to reach out to, these homeowners or property owners in general. And so, the bottom line is, I think, I know I've been in some trainings recently that have discussed, I was just in a gen up, that was discussing wholesalers. And, what the real estate commission is doing to try to negate, some of the headache that comes along with it. And, it's legal. They're in compliance. There's nothing illegal about it, really. I mean, depending on the circumstance. Yeah. But there is so many agents where, I mean, how are you advising your clients? What, so that side of it, I haven't ever ventured out into, and I don't think I ever will. It may be a scenario where Joseph's a friend of mine, and I know he's looking for something, and I had something under contract, and I called him and said, look, I've got my plates full, like, here's the numbers. I think the numbers are there for you. If I can make $5,000 on it and signing the contract, you can have it. You think the numbers are there, I think the numbers are there, and it makes sense. I make a little bit of money, you make your money, we both get out of it, full transparency. But that's what's lacking. Yeah. That's what's lacking. And then you're getting agents involved, broker in charge, lenders, loan officers. Everybody's, trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. Right. And there's a client on the other end that's feeling incredibly, discouraged. Yep. They're going to lose money. They can't afford to lose this due diligence money. They feel like they were, that they're, it's just a mess. It's a mess. I don't know. I really don't know how else to say it, but it's so sad because I see it only getting worse and worse,
I think the issue too is just greed. Yeah. Right. I think it all stems from greed and uneducated people who are doing it. Right. Because to my point, the one wholesaler in Davidson. Right. You have no idea what you're doing. Right. And you're trying to offload, $400,000 to make a quick buck. Right. But if we had professionals who just knew more about the environment they're surrounding themselves in, right. I don't think there's anything wrong with capitalism.
Sure, right? No, yeah. Right. As long as there's room for everybody to make money, it makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And at the end of the day, as long as it appraises and if it's, they're getting a loan, that's all that matters. Right. At the end of the day, are they happy? Do it appraise? Do they have to lose money? Right. Do they have to bring any extra money? Right. No? Why does it matter? Right. It's kind of it's the same gray area with the real estate commission with escalation clauses. Mm-hmm. Me personally, yeah, absolutely. Disclose all the offers and whoever wants to pay the most, pay the most. Mm-hmm. Supply and demand, right? Yeah. I had several clients during 2021, 2022 that wanted to use escalation clauses. Mm-hmm. And I submitted about 3 of them. Mm-hmm.
Successful?
One of them did, but they didn't get the approval to share the other offer because whoever the winning offer is has to give the AOK to show their offer. Oh, gotcha. Because the escalation was my clients will pay $5,000 over your highest offer.
Ah, I see.
So,
I'm uneducated here. I've not done that.
So it's super gray area. North Carolina Real Estate Commission does not like us using escalation clauses.
Okay.
If you do have one, you have to get an attorney to draft it.
Okay.
But pretty much the escalation clause says, I'll pay X over your highest offer.
Okay.
I'm willing to pay this.
Okay.
So what happens is if they accept it and it all goes through, you'll have to black out like the client's name, the buyer that submitted the highest offer out, and then just show like the main terms. Hey,
$550, then you're $555, and this is how it goes. Okay.
Yep. So what happens if you have two different escalation clauses? Right? What if the two people are battling each other with escalation clauses?
I guess it's whoever escalates the most.
I think I'd tell them both to come on Sunday at 5 p.m. and fight it out.
I'm just thinking that through real quick, and I'm like, that'd be kind of wild.
It's not very common that people are using those. I think it was more so like the appraisal gaps and addendums that people were using.
Oh, man. I
think the worst one I ever saw was $60,000 difference in the appraisal, and the person went through with it. Wow.
So my people, they were buying in Bridge Mill.
Okay. Yep.
And so Bridge Mill has a couple different. It's in South Carolina. It has like a couple different.
Is that Fort Mill?
It's right over the border. Yeah. You go down. What's the road? You go through Ballantyne and you keep hauling.
Yeah.
Old Lancaster?
No, TK is to the left. It's sort of like Indian land.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a couple different styles of houses in there. And, the house they were looking at was on like the hardy board side versus like the full brick side.
Okay.
But the house was immaculate.
Okay.
And I think it was listed for like $720. It had actually been on market for a little bit, which back then was a long time.
Yeah.
Because houses were going same day. So we submitted an offer, all that. Appraisal came in $80,000 low.
Ooh.
We swapped lenders to Movement with Ramiro because I think you were out of town or something for that one. Because you said you were out of town.
You're probably right.
Jonathan.
Did we get it closer?
Appraisal's waived.
Oh,
so they didn't even have an appraisal.
Didn't even need the appraisal.
So when do we decide that?
When
do we decide if the appraisal's waived?
Well, a good lender should know as soon as you have a purchase contract and you throw a property address into the system.
If they are able to waive it.
So with conventional financing, Fannie or Freddie, it picks up. They all have their algorithms and stuff. So if you're putting enough money down, and it feels that it's a fair value in their algorithm, sometimes you get an appraisal waiver.
Okay.
Which is nice.
I've had that happen, but I've never asked for a clarification on why that happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's to the point. I almost wonder. I want to get y'all's opinion. Do you think, at some point, appraisers will be kind of old news? I mean, there's enough data points out there nowadays that I feel like you can kind of come up with a fair value without actually having to have an appraisal. Or, what's y'all's opinion on that?
Me personally?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I think appraisers are the biggest pain in my ass in real estate transactions.
I was about to say, we talk about there being a gray area, and there's never been such a thing. There's never been such a thing. Because ultimately, I've had personal property that I've sold, investment property that I've had, an appraisal come in $30,000 low, buyer terminates, same week, same house, same condition, nothing's changed. 4 days later, under contract, new lender appraises for $10,000 over.
Yep.
I can't make it make sense.
Yeah, no, I've seen that too numerous times.
And I think the issue too, especially because I heard this from an appraiser's mouth, that during 2021, 2022, there were appraisers in the industry that were like, oh, you're not going to, increase 20-30% overnight.
Right.
I'm going to slow this down.
That's right. I heard that. I've heard that as well.
And I saw it in a couple cases, and I'm like, there were 20 offers on this property.
And here's 10 comps. That's your job. Your job is to review the comps.
And it was so difficult during that time. And now, too, it's, we have so much data backing in real estate, right? I think real estate is very tech-centric now.
Right.
And with that being said, appraisers are almost old school, to where your point, at a certain algorithm point, their credit score, how much money they're putting down, the house location, the age, so on and so forth. Yeah, if you enter in excellent condition, 800 credit score, they're probably not going to default. So you're probably not going to see it on the back end foreclosure. Mm-hmm. Even if it does hit that point, if they're putting over 20%, does it really matter?
Right.
Because okay, you get the house back, you're going to turn around and probably make money selling it.
Right.
Whereas like 2008, 2009, when, the government wasn't in the mortgage side and they were wild, wild west. How much you make? All right, here's your $1 million loan. Have a good day.
Stated income loans. Yeah,
right.
Where I think back then it was probably definitely needed, where now, a lot of lending's just government backed. So does it really need it? Probably not. But then again, you could have people that are just doing very shady items. Like, if I'm thinking in my head, I got a $200,000 property, I'm going to sell to her for $1 million.
And
it's
I agree.
Worth it.
Right.
And then, it travels down the line, and then the person on the very back end is getting screwed.
Yeah.
Long term. So, I don't know. That was
I don't think they'll ever. I don't think they'll ever be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I think we'll always have to deal with. That's obviously a huge. Thing that we have concern about, and rightfully so. Everything I flip, and when I go to the market, I'm pushing the comps.
Yeah.
I own it.
Yeah.
I'll sit
absolutely
30 days.
You can, yeah.
I'll reduce when I want to.
Yep.
And I don't always have great comps. I'll set the comps.
Yeah.
I typically don't have the best comps. I know I'm not far off, but I've dealt with quite a few low appraisals. And I'm almost at a place where I'd almost ask, every buyer, what do we do? Every buyer's agent, what do we do? If there's a chance the appraisal comes in low, how do we handle it?
Yep.
Let's talk about it up front.
Yeah, I think that's huge, right?
Let's
You
talk
bring it
about
up front,
Yeah.
then
There's a possibility it may not appraise. What position are we in? Mm-hmm. I don't want to cross this bridge in 20 days.
Yeah.
Correct.
15 days.
And let's see. So since July, 6 out of 7 of my listings all have multiple offers.
Wow.
that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, with
I'm just
higher
like-
rates,
I'm just like,
higher
whoa.
home prices. 'Cause
Joseph, I'm going to hire him.
Yeah, right. Look at this guy.
Sell my
Look at this
stuff.
guy.
Not mine.
And it's funny you said that about talking to the buyer's agent up front. There's 2 things that happen before I list a house. I talk to the homeowner, and I'm like, look, here's our options. We can push the market. We can really try and get you, quote unquote, top dollar.
Right.
Are you prepared to let it sit for a little bit?
Right. That's right.
What are your next goals?
Right.
What are we looking
Where are we
for
going
after
next?
this?
Yes.
And then we're talking about it. I'm like, all right, my thought is we price slightly just smidge,
Below.
like 5-10 grand under.
Yep.
We're going to drive traffic. I
Multiple
never
offers.
list Monday to Wednesday. It needs to be a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday
That's right.
if I'm going to list.
That's right.
And then I'm probably holding showings until Saturday.
That's
because
right.
I'm building tension and traffic to my listing.
Okay.
Then offers start coming in.
That's right.
I don't care if it's the first offer or the 10th offer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, just so you know, if we get multiple offers, I've already had this talk ahead of time with my seller. We're probably calling for highest and best Sunday evening at 7 p.m. I'll present your offer, get back with you. Again, in most cases, I have multiple offers. Then I'm going back and I'm like, all right, please submit your highest and best. If your buyer is submitting over, I want to see proof of funds
There you
that
go.
they can cover the difference.
There you go.
And I've
Cover those bases, agents, before you get there.
I've had the talk with so many agents where it's like, I don't think your client's offer is going to appraise. I've said that to agents, and they're like, we might. And I'm like, no.
Right.
I'm not here for a might.
Right.
I'm here for,
represent my clients.
it's going to close once we go under contract.
That's right.
We're going to work towards the end goal together.
That's right.
And I want to make sure your client's serious.
Yep.
It's just like this one I had in Belmont. Multiple offers. The winning offer was list price, but 15 grand due diligence.
There you go.
Wasn't the highest net to the seller.
Yeah.
But we were like,
They're not backing out.
They're not backing
They're
out.
committed.
they're not backing
Yep.
out. My sellers were under contract on another house.
Yep.
So they really needed to close.
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
need it to, but they wanted to use extra proceeds
Of
to
course.
get a lower interest
Of
rate for
course.
more down.
Yeah.
And of course, we get towards inspection and stuff like that. Inspection report comes across, and one of the things, and if agents, if you ever do this, just know you're pissing everybody off. It was downspout extensions was one of the requests.
Yep.
We're talking $8 at Lowe's
Get your proposal at Home
downspout
Depot.
extensions.
We're not doing it.
I said, and they wanted to pay for the septic pump.
Okay.
You put up 15 grand.
Right. That's what you're going to request.
And your total request, if we, and dehumidifier for the basement because there's moisture and mold on a crawl space in North Carolina.
That's right, which is 100% common.
Like what? Anyways, so we're like...
We have $1,000 worth of requests here. Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, we're at like $1,000.
Right.
We'll just give it to them. Oh, that seems awfully low. What are you talking about?
$450 septic pump.
And of course, they get their quotes back. Commercial dehumidifier for $3,000.
Oh my goodness!
We're gonna encapsulate the crawl space. Yep, while we're at it.
And I was like, no. So we settled at $2,000 just to get it closed and all this. 3 days before closing, when it was finally finished.
Yeah.
Waived appraisal, all this, and I'm just like, when you're buying a house, you
anticipate these things.
You are buying an investment.
That's right.
But you're not renting anymore.
No.
Someone's not coming to do all this work for you.
Yeah.
So you have to take initiative and understand like the small things, right? Mm-hmm. And I tell my buyers this. If it's big and you can't do it in a weekend or under $100, let's ask for it. And we're also going to narrow it down to 3 to 5 things max. If it's anything more than that, and you don't feel comfortable, walk away. 3 to 5. That's all we're going to ask for.
I'd love to work a deal with Joseph.
Yeah.
We're going to do that.
Like this guy.
That's the year.
Make it happen.
2024 is the year.
Let's do it. We can work multiple.
I agree. I mean, it blows my mind sometimes, the request that, please don't come to me with a house that was built in 2005, and do not come to me saying that your buyer is worried that in the next 5 years they may have to replace their HVAC even though it's functioning perfectly fine. They want a $15,000 reduction. There is no issues. Yep. We've had it serviced by GSM every single time that it's needed. It's functioning properly. There is no issues. But we anticipate this is a cost. Mm-hmm. We want a $15,000 reduction.
Yep. I had the same thing last year. That's funny you say that. Multiple offers. They went over. HVAC's old. They would like replaced. No. What's wrong with it?
It's functioning.
Your inspector said it is functioning fine.
Yep.
Why would we replace this?
We're not.
Yeah.
And we're not going to compensate because this is an anticipated expense that comes along with being a homeowner. Mm-hmm. We're not going to compensate for it.
Go buy a brand new house if you're worried.
That's right.
Yeah. Or get a home warranty. I tell people this all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get a home warranty.
Get a good home warranty, you'll just pay the deductible.
That's right.
Like Choice Home Warranty.
Yep.
Gary Frank, great guy. If I ever have any issues, I call him and he will get it done. So their big motto is if they can't fix it, they will replace it with like or better.
Wow.
And it's been the case.
Wow.
Like they replaced the whole HVAC system for $100 for the
wow.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. After being in the house for 4 months.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. And that's a very valuable asset. Right. Mm-hmm. Ask for a home warranty. There's anything that you anticipate being a bigger expense that you're not comfortable paying out of pocket, within the first couple of years of owning the home. But I wish every agent had realistic. Like, be realistic. We can close. This still can close, and we're gonna get to the other side of it. But everybody's got to be realistic, and that's just not realistic.
Yeah,
it's just not.
I agree.
It's just not.
Well, I got a question for you because I'm sure we have some individuals listening that are interested in investing in real estate. What would be like your advice to like a first-time investor? It's a tough market out there. So what would you recommend? Do you start small, like something that you just kind of only need to put a few grand of work into, or what would you say your advice is?
Definitely start with something that you feel the profit margin doesn't have to be significant, that you feel is relatively cosmetic. Do not bite off a West Henry Street. Don't bite off a West Henry Street. You will, be hating yourself and you're going to be in the hole in 6 months from now in a project that you have no idea how to complete. Even if it means just getting your name out there.
Yeah.
Even if it means buying a house, it's been on the market, it's been sitting, and it doesn't have curb appeal. It needs fresh paint. It needs new light fixtures. You're making 10 grand on the back end, but you're marketing, this is my first investment property. this is how you get your foot in the door. You are going to get, like we've discussed, one person that reaches out to you, you know, we need to sell. This is my uncle's house. He's passed away. It needs work. I see that you did that. You know, or is this something you're interested in? Mm-hmm. And you've just opened the door, you know, for more opportunity for yourself. I think, you know, don't be afraid. I think in real estate, and this is not a sales pitch. This is not a sales pitch. I tell everybody there is never a bad time to buy real estate. As long as you understand how to leverage your investment, there is never a bad time to buy real estate. Mm-hmm. Is it the most affordable time to buy real estate? No, it is not. Is it a bad time to buy real estate? No, it is not. You know, you're not going to sell as long as you have a piece of real estate that you own. You know you're going to sell when the market's good. You're not going to sell when the market's bad. If you need to put a tenant in place to cover expenses for a couple months while, you know, you have so much opportunity when you own real estate that as long as you understand how to leverage it, you're never going to make, you know, a bad decision investing in real estate. So I think that's the takeaway from it is as long as you're confident with where you're investing and what you're investing in, just have peace that you're not going to make a bad decision. Mm-hmm. You've covered your costs. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, if this house does not sell, you could put a tenant in there for 6 months and you could cover the expenses if need be. If you cannot sell this house that you've renovated and you have this money in, put a tenant in place. You know, cover the expenses and reassess the market in 6 months. Yeah. You know, there's just, I think, thinking too much into it is where you will talk yourself out of, you know, thinking about the possibility of investing in real estate. We talked about short-term rentals. We talked about long-term rentals. Now there's mid-term rentals. Okay, you've got travel nurses. You've got, you know, I invest heavily in the North Belmont area. And there's a brand new hospital being built across the street. Belmont Abbey's across the street. I mean, I know West Henry. This house is awful. You know, I want to cry every time I go in, 3 times a week. And there's an issue every time I turn my head, but I know it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When the dust settles, hopefully a month from now, and it's time to go on the market, you know, at that point, I've got to, you know, put everything in writing and figure out what is the best way for me to try to move forward on this property. Do I try to midterm rent it? Do I try to, you know, what do I try to do for a couple of years to try to negate some of that loss, you know? Mm-hmm. But like I said, there's never a bad time. And as long as you're confident with where you're investing and what you're investing in, then you're going to be okay.
Yeah. We're not California.
That's
We're
right.
North Carolina.
That's right.
We've appreciated while they have not.
Yes, we have. Yep. And I think it's just knowing your areas and knowing where you know the market is good. It's in a good place. It's a desirable area. People want to be there, and you're not going to make a bad investment. And hire a real estate agent. You know, if you're an investor and you want somebody that's got, you know, a knowledge and knowing, you know, how to get you in the door for $15,000 under list price, and you know, and help you navigate some of that. And then, you know, you've got room for money making, whichever way you prefer, whether it's long-term rental or short-term rental, or, you know, that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, it's always a great time to invest in real estate.
True that.
Yes.
That was the first thing they taught us in class at Keller Williams.
That's right.
It's always a good time to buy, sell, or invest.
It's so true, though.
It's
so cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah. One of my biggest frustrations, not so much on the investment side of it, but it's just purchasing. I feel like so many people are trying to time the market.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer.
There's no way to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's time in the market is more valuable than time in the market,
That's
right? So I'm a firm believer in that. I do know sometimes in the investing space, I think you touched on it, you got to do your due diligence.
Yes, sure.
You know, educate yourself, make sure that the deal is there.
Yes.
Because I know personally, like I've looked at some stuff, not flip-wise, but just like putting a long-term tenant in.
Sure.
And unfortunately, I don't have a ton of cash, so,
right?
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It just doesn't make sense number-wise.
Right.
You know, at this moment. But,
right.
I guess to wrap it up, let's, you know, closing question. We always like to be a little fun, you know, get you thinking a little bit, a little off topic, but, you know, if you walked out the door today and won the lottery, what are the first 2 things you're buying and why?
I am buying every piece of waterfront property that I can get my hands on.
I love it.
And I'll close with that. That's number one.
Hold on, yeah, you got another one.
Got another one. Waterfront property, specifically Lake Wiley, but that's because that's my home turf. Oh no. Number two. Probably a Rolls Royce SUV.
Okay.
Because I believe that in our business, you have to be the full package to be very, very successful. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that I've proven that, but I think when I pull into a listing appointment, it doesn't matter if it's a $200,000 house or a $2 million house. The way I present myself when I walk in, the way, you know. So I would love to have I have a 2022 Escalade, and I love it, and it's a great car, and it's a mom car. But I would love to have like a Lamborghini Urus or a Rolls Royce, or just I want to bring it. I want to take it to the next level.
I like it.
So that's what I would do.
You remember how you told us earlier that life's going to be looking different at 35?
Yeah.
So I expect a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini
That might be me,
35.
guys.
I mean,
That
honestly, at this rate, so I follow like the foreign cars and exotic stuff a lot.
Yes.
So yours have actually dropped tremendously.
What are they, about 150 now?
No, they're still in the twos,
and I can't
but
afford that.
Before like COVID, just when everything was so
Sure,
high, they were
right.
shooting close to almost $400,000 for the Urus.
Wow.
MSRP's like 180 to 220, and you can spec them however.
Well,
you
so
want.
my question is, I think the other thing that I was going to say with that is, I do think they're an investment, depending on what you buy. Right? You can sell and make money depending on the market.
Yeah. So especially when you get to like exotics, and God, yeah, I could probably talk like 3 hours about this, but specific exotics will.
McLaren's?
McLaren's not so much unless it's their higher end.
What even is an exotic car?
Like Lamborghini, Ferrari, Aston Martin.
Okay.
Is there a price point that determines it? Like 250,000?
Above. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I don't. I mean, it used to be like anything over $100,000, but now you can't even get a fucking truck
you
under
can't get a
$100,000.
Damn. Paid 98
full
for
package
mine.
Escalade,
Yeah.
I mean, even the new Corvette Z06 is like $150K MSRP.
Yeah.
So
how are we affording it, guys? What are we doing?
I don't know.
OnlyFans?
Hey, that's been a big one.
Yes.
All jokes aside.
If I could go back in time.
Yeah, right? Oh, my goodness.
I love it.
But anyways, well, tell the people how they can find you and reach out to you for any real estate needs.
Yes. So my Facebook, I've got two Facebook accounts aside from my personal. So Pressly Ramey Realtor is my personal business, and then the Pressly Ramey Team Premier South is my team real estate page, and then my Instagram is just my personal Pressly Ramey _realtor.
Nice.
Yes. And that's where you'll find me, and I'll be posting on my stories and trying to keep up and be present and be consistent every single day.
There you go. That's a takeaway.
That is a takeaway. Well, thank you again so much for
Thanks
joining
for
us. This was fun.
Thank you.
Yes, it was.
I appreciate you.
Thank y'all.